When the ship was boarded, it was found that the sailors were in horrible condition. Many were dead, and others were found to be embedded in the bulkhead.
You've heard the whispers, right? The kind of stories you hear in passing. From that one friend of a friend who swears they know someone on the inside. You know the ones. Secret military experiments, the kind that push the boundaries of science, ethics, and common sense. The kind they'd rather you never find out about. But guess what? We're about to look into those dark waters. The ones they've tried so hard to keep sealed.
October 1943. At the height of World War II, the Atlantic Ocean was a dangerous battleground where German submarines frequently targeted American ships.
Buckle up, because what you're about to hear might just make your skin crawl. Picture this, a facility so remote it doesn't show up on Google Maps. The government's best-kept secret. It's the perfect location for testing. Well, things we really shouldn't be testing. Top secret projects, straight out of science fiction, happening right under our noses. But this isn't a movie. It's real. It's happening.
Able to actually get out, which seems to suggest the alleged.
Now, imagine walking into one of these secret labs. You're hit with the cold, sterile air. Fluorescent lights flicker overhead, casting harsh shadows on the walls. The hum of machinery fills the silence. And there, tucked in the corner, is a strange, unmarked cabinet. You'd think it was just another supply closet. But behind that door, that's where the real experiments happen. Experiments the military doesn't want anyone to see. We all know the stories. Mind control experiments, invisible soldiers, human-animal hybrids. Some of these are rumors. Others? Well, the truth is far stranger than fiction. Take a deep breath. This isn't some science fiction movie. This is a page ripped straight from the real book of classified military experiments. And believe me, you've never heard the half of it. Let's start with something that's almost too weird to be true. We've all seen those movies with people running around in cloaks, disappearing into thin air. But did you know the US military was actually working on making people invisible? This wasn't just some crazy sci-fi fantasy. No, this was real. And it was called the Philadelphia Experiment. It all began in 1943. The goal? To make the USS Eldridge, yes, a warship, disappear.
October 1943. At the height of World War II, the Atlantic Ocean was a dangerous battleground where German submarines frequently targeted American ships. To help protect Allied vessels,
Not just hide under some camouflage netting, but vanish entirely. The experiment was supposed to use electromagnetic fields to bend light around the ship, making it invisible to radar. Sounds like something out of Star Trek, right? Well, the thing is, it actually worked. Sort of. Some sailors who were aboard claimed that the ship literally vanished, only to reappear a few minutes later. But here's the kicker. Those sailors were never the same again. Some of them had strange health problems, while others, well, let's just say they didn't come back in one piece.
When the ship was boarded, it was found that the sailors were in horrible condition. Many were dead, and others were found to be embedded in the bulkhead.
They were never the same. Among the crew, names like Alfred Bielek and Carl Allen have echoed through conspiracy circles for decades. Bielek later claimed to have been physically fused with the ship's bulkhead when it reappeared. His skin and uniform melded into steel. Another sailor, James Stanton, was reportedly found months later wandering a naval base, incoherent, insisting he had seen blue fire swallow the deck. Even those who survived intact described uncontrollable tremors, memory loss, and nightmares of being pulled apart by light. And it doesn't end there. The government has kept this story locked away. They've labeled it as a hoax. But too many people saw it happen, and to this day, no one can explain what went down.
Some people witnessed the ship appear there and vanish there as well. So what is going on here?
When the ship was boarded, it was found that the sailors were in horrible condition. Many were dead, and others were found to be embedded in the bulkhead of the ship, still alive.
Some of the crew seem to be almost frozen in time, or
Is it possible that the military was trying to weaponize invisibility? To make entire battalions disappear into thin air during combat? Who knows? But that's the kind of stuff they don't want you asking about. Now, let's get a little more modern. You know the phrase weapons of mass destruction, right? But have you ever thought about what could be a weapon you can't even see? Enter directed energy weapons. Sounds like something from a Bond villain's lair, doesn't it? Well, it's real. And guess who's been quietly developing them? You guessed it, the US military. These directed energy weapons are designed to fire beams of concentrated energy, laser beams, microwave pulses, and even electromagnetic waves that can destroy a target without ever touching it. Imagine something that could knock out enemy electronics from miles away or fry a missile mid-flight. No explosions, no debris, just a precise, invisible, silent attack. It's a game changer. And the kicker? We've been testing this stuff for decades. In fact, in the 1980s, the US military secretly tested a microwave weapon on its own soldiers. They wanted to see how microwaves could be used to incapacitate enemy personnel. The result? They gave some soldiers severe burns and even caused temporary insanity. The side effects were a little too unpredictable, but the military didn't stop there. Oh no, they pushed forward with more experiments, more technologies, more ways to harness energy and turn it into weapons. And they've kept it all under wraps. If you think your microwave oven is the scariest piece of tech in your kitchen, think again. One internal report referenced Sergeant Robert McKinley and Private First Class Dana Ruiz, both participants in an exposure trial at White Sands. McKinley developed chronic skin lesions that never healed. Ruiz, only 24, began experiencing hallucinations and violent seizures within weeks. Her testimony, quietly sealed in 1987, described hearing metallic voices after each test session. These human outcomes were buried beneath layers of classification. Now, if you think all of this sounds like something straight out of a James Bond plot, get ready for this. What if I told you the military was conducting experiments involving mind control? Yes, you heard me right. The US military has been obsessed with the idea of manipulating the human mind. And it's not just theory, it's been tested. Let's rewind to the 1950s. The CIA, working under the cloak of secrecy, conducted a series of experiments known as MKUltra. Their goal? To control minds. And not just to manipulate people mentally. Oh no, they wanted to physically control them. Through drugs, hypnosis, and sensory deprivation, they tried to turn ordinary people into obedient, unquestioning subjects. Mind control. This wasn't some crazy conspiracy theory nonsense. It was real. They even tested LSD on unwitting citizens. One of the most famous instances was when a man named Frank Olson, a CIA scientist, fell victim to MKUltra. He was dosed with LSD without his knowledge during a meeting. A few days later, he fell from a 10th floor window. Some say it was a suicide, others say it was murder. The truth? Well, it's locked away in secret files somewhere. And don't get me started on the other experiments with sensory deprivation, sleep manipulation, and more. The US military's obsession with mind control took them down some dark paths. But here's the thing that gets me. We've all seen those superheroes with crazy powers, right? Telekinesis, mind reading, you name it. But what if I told you the military was working on turning real people into superhumans? Not through comic books or Marvel, but through secret military projects. Let's talk about super soldier programs. The military has been trying to create the perfect warrior for years. And it's not just about physical strength. No, they're trying to enhance the mental capabilities of soldiers, too. We're talking about sensory enhancement, memory manipulation, and even the possibility of developing superhuman reflexes. They've tried it all. Injecting soldiers with special serums, experimenting with genetic modifications, and using experimental drugs to enhance performance. There's even talk that some soldiers may have been exposed to radiation to boost their endurance and strength. The idea is simple: make soldiers better, faster, stronger, almost unbeatable. And it's terrifying to think about, right? Soldiers turned into machines with no regard for their humanity. But the thing is, all these projects have a very dark side. You see, these experiments are often conducted without consent. They've destroyed lives. You can't just throw a super serum in someone and expect them to come out of it unscathed. And yet, the military continues to run these programs. For the greater good, they say. But who decides what the greater good really is? Now, I know you're probably thinking, this can't be real. This is all just conspiracy theory nonsense. But let me remind you, some of the most dangerous and messed up military experiments have happened under the radar. MKUltra? Real. Directed energy weapons? They exist. Super soldier programs? Oh, you better believe they've been trying it. The military has a long history of pushing boundaries, and they're still doing it today. And they don't want you to know about it. Because the more you know, the more you'll ask. The more you'll demand answers. And those who ask too many questions. Some were reassigned, others vanished from records entirely. In one leaked memo from 2002, a colonel simply wrote, "Program silence ensured." So what happens next? Well, let me leave you with this. You think we're done? You think the military is going to stop testing, stop experimenting on people, stop trying to create the perfect weapon? Think again. This is just the tip of the iceberg. What they don't want you to see is still out there. And you can bet your bottom dollar they're not going to let you anywhere near it. Because right now, somewhere deep underground, another test subject is waking up under the glare of white lights, wondering why their heartbeat echoes through metal walls. And maybe, just maybe, in our next investigation, we'll find out what happens to them. Stay tuned.